All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the moment many of us have been waiting for. This is a major broadcast. We are going to open an original roll of 1943 Philadelphia Lincoln Cents this evening. This is roll reveal number 636. Got a nice size audience out there. Let's go ahead and get the roll open and get started. Use my little tool to open the paper on this roll. There's a beautiful looking coin on the end. That's all I have ever seen. This, with all other bank wrap rolls, of course, remember, because there is a chance of damage or other problems on the inside of the roll. I've only seen the coins on the end. I can't offer any kind of refunds or exchanges for whatever's in here. This is an original roll. That's all I can tell you. And that's all I know. Alright, get these. Sarah Ratcliffe, I will do so. Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for registering. Okay, so far these coins look very nice. Full nice BU roll here for sure. Now what we're looking for, there's a couple of major double dies that we could be watching for. We could be watching for a number of other more minor double dies. I've done a recent check on all of them to know what to be watching for. So here we go. Off we go into the yonder with coin number 1. Let me adjust my lighting and everything for the steel. Get my focus adjusted. Got to get everything adjusted for each different type of coin that I do. And these shine more like nickels than pennies. So all right, here we go. Coin number 1. Let's take a look at the obverse and see what we have here. A little bit of concentric die scratches. Just speaking on the terms of markers, looking for something that we could use for a marker to determine that we've seen this die before when we pick it out again. No doubled eyelid. I don't see any doubling in the motto. No doubling in Liberty. Let's flip it over and take a look at the reverse. A lot of die scratches running through. Yeah, I'm not really liking how out of focus this is. There we go. Much better. I had to bring it in a little closer. No doubling, however, on this coin. This particular coin, I've been asked to assess the grade of these, and it's a little difficult to do grade. Unless you can see the whole coin and look at the amount of luster the coin has. This particular coin, because of the marks on the coin and because of the slight deterrence on the rim up there at clock position 1, and on the reverse, we're looking pretty nice. Got a few little marks here and there. I would go with a 65 on this coin. MS 65. And that is for Mickey. Now coin number 2. Coin number 2 goes to Carl. And Carl's first coin. Lots of die cracks. Let me zoom in some here so we can see the details. And I'm still not liking my lighting on this. That's better. Lighting is better. Focus is better. There we go. A few spots on this one. Those milk spots come from the fact that the coin has had some exposure to moisture, which could be as little as humidity in the air. And it has developed little milk spots on it because of that. Let's take a look at the reverse. Okay, the reverse is pretty heavily stained. Pretty heavily spotted on the reverse. Not seeing any doubling back here. This coin would be probably at best a MS62, 6162. It's pretty heavily marred up from exposure, but the obverse is still very nice. But it takes both sides to make up the grade of a coin. And so that's why I wouldn't go with anything above a 62 on this one. And there is that one. You can see the staining on the reverse. Really nice luster on the obverse though. And that's for Carl. We'll do this reveal and then we'll jump straight into a 1943 San Francisco roll after this. Coin number 3, Jackalope Herdmaster. Here is coin number 3. It's turned just a little on the grayish side, which doesn't really affect much. This one has a little bit of a doubled eyelid, so it is a very minor doubled die. You can see that there is a line right here. That's a secondary eyelid under the primary eyelid. Take a look around and see what else we can see on this. And nothing else on the obverse. Take a look now at the reverse and see what we have. On the reverse, one of the primary things that we look for on the reverse is doubling in the wheat ears and the wheat lines out here. You can see doubled points, but not on this coin. That's one of the primary things I look for. Another primary thing I look for in the wheat ears is for there to be doubling somewhere in the very center of the coin. That tends to be an issue with 1942, and there are a couple of known dies, 1943 Denver, but I like to give it a chance because these coins have never been viewed. This particular coin, I'll look at it again real quick. It has pretty decent luster. It is, I would go with a 64 grade on this. Pretty decent luster, but it has a spot. Where are we? Come on. Rather visible spot right there on the top of the N of 1. And it has a few little scrape marks on the reverse that are not deep. They're barely noticeable when you're looking at the coin. But here is the luster on this one is not as certain as the luster on the previous coin. The reverse, you can see that spot. Let's see if we can get some focus going on. Maybe not. It's really difficult with the camera setup that I have to actually grade coins on the camera. Okay, so that's coin number 3. This is going to take some time, I'm sure. Coin number 4 to Stan Horn. Coin number 4. Now, coin number 3 was a double die, so we're going to hold it out as a double eyelid double die. Coin number 4 now. Okay, we've got some wax from the paper. That will not affect the overall grade of the coin. That wax comes off easily. Here's another doubled eyelid. This is a second different doubled eyelid. Let's check over here and see if we have any doubling that will associate with that class 4 on the center. And we don't have anything else to associate with it. Class 4 offset hub doubling. Offset hub doubling is to the north, south, east, west, so forth. This would be doubling to the south. Okay, we've at least temporarily lost our center camera. Keep looking at the reverse here. See if we can pick anything out that... Now, a lot of these small marks that you see on this coin are not really going to count in the grade, and the reason for that is because they are so small, you're just likely not to see them. Now that mark up here around the N of cent and this mark down here in the field, you'll likely see those when you're looking at the coin, even without a glass. You got a dent in the coin right at the top of the left wheat that could actually somewhat affect the grade, but not heavily. And the rest of the reverse is actually rather clean, very nice looking. Now the obverse, all that stuff will come off of the coin. Then none of that stuff is permanent. You can still see the minor doubled eyelid right there is a slightly lighter colored dot out in front of the eye. And I don't see anything deterring this from a solid 65 grade. So we're talking about a decent MS65. And that's coin number 4, different doubled eyelid. Now coin number 5, Taco John. Taco John gets the next coin here. Let's grade it first. Okay, this one has some... I think that is... let's see how solid that is. Yeah, that's embedded on the coin. So that's probably not going to dislodge easily at all. That is from the rolling machine. There was a stop right there on the rolling machine while they cleared a jam or something. And the friction wheel that moves the coins through the machine stopped and spun on this coin. You can see those trails in the field there from that counting wheel. There's nothing on the obverse of this coin. Let's see the reverse. And there's a small die crack from the upper left of the wheat to the rim. That doesn't affect the grade of the coin. Few little spots here and there on the reverse. No doubling, however. We're going to go with this coin being a 63 grade. Actually, probably a 62, once I consider the fact that it's got all that damage from the counting wheel on the obverse. So that's it for that one. Here, let's go with coin number 6 and see what we see there. Dave Coleman. And coin number 6 is... a pretty nice BU coin. Pretty nice one. Let's flip it over and see what we see on the other side. And somewhat weakly struck, this coin is. Although that does not affect the grade up to 65. Beyond 65, you have to have a full strike. This one has very few marks. It has decent luster. Actually, I kind of like the luster on this coin. This one should grade a 65. Should straight up grade 65. That's for Dave. Jay Studley. Hello, Jay Studley. Good evening to you. Here's one for Josh. Pretty nice coin. This one's going to grade a 64. I just looked at it with my eyeballs. It's got some spotting on it that'll keep it out of a 65. But it is a pretty decent coin. Yeah, I don't see any doubling there on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse real quick. Some of that wax from the paper there all the way across the bottom on the reverse. The right camera is on. It's just not. It's decided to blink out on me today. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, it's got a notification on it. That's why. Now I have to put it back in here. It should stay on now. There we go. Josh gets this one. See if Josh is stated. Is Josh still here? I don't know. Pretty decent coin. 60. Yeah, 64 grade. Josh is still here. There's your coin, Josh. Here's coin number 8, Taco John. This one has spotting. Unfortunately, has spotting. See if we get any doubling here on the obverse first. Yep, it's one of the doubled eyelids, one of that second doubled eyelid. Let me zoom in on it here. So you can see the line running underneath the eye that gives you the doubled eyelid. This is that second different die that we ended up with on coin number 4. But the grade of the coin overall is probably a 62, 63. And the reason is all that milk spotting on the coin there from exposure, probably to a wet or moist finger at the mint or at the bank where they were wrapped. Somebody picking up the coins and throwing them into a hopper or something. Hello, Brian. Good evening. I need to talk with you at some point, Brian. Just letting you know. I've got a project working that I want to talk with you about. All right, next one up, Mark. Mr. Thomas. A little bit of that wax going on around this roll. That happens a lot to the original rolls. A lot more than some people realize, that they get that wax build up on them. And there's nothing dangerous about it. It comes right off. Although it has some chance of putting slight stains on the coins. Not a double die on this one, and I recognized this die because of that die scratch running all the way across the center of the die there. This is same as a few coins ago, had no die variety on it. So there's coin number 9, now coin number 10. Ent. Oh my gosh, we have an icky. A coin that's got spotting on it for Ant, unfortunately. had to look in close on this one to see if I saw any doubling, and I don't. This one here is probably going to turn out to be a 62 to 63 level coin, just because of all the milk spots all over the coin. And once again, these are steel coins. They were plated in zinc. And plated in zinc means that they are corrosive and active to oxygen, which when you mix zinc and oxygen together, you get zinc oxide. Zinc oxide is that white stuff you put on your nose when you go out to the beach. And it kind of corrodes. It's corrosive and it turns white. So that tends to be an issue with these. Mickey. It's one of the many reasons why this issue only lasted 1 year. There's Mickey's doubled eyelid right there. Got that little spot out there on the eye. Out there in front of the eye. It's this little, I'm going to move the coin right now because I got perfect lighting for it. But right there, you look up in the corner of your screen and see it. That's a doubled eyelid. Hello, Paula. Nice little head to R die crack running there. Got a number of little issues going on with the die here. Little cracks and other nifty little things going on. All those do is help you identify this die to whatever coins you're looking at, or identify the coins to the die. They don't actually do anything to add value to the coins, but they're always interesting to look at nonetheless. Alright, we'll reverse on this one real quick just in case we have something we need to be discussing, although we've already seen this reverse before. I don't see anything special here. So we'll fold this one into its flip and move on to the next one. Here is Ant. Ant for another coin. Oh my gosh. This one's got stuff all over it. Not either one of the doubled eyelids we're familiar with yet in this roll. You got some really nice luster in some spots and just a bunch of ick in other spots. It's obviously not a better grade coin. Not sure we've seen this die before. This die belongs to a pair that has this interesting mark running through the RICA of America. Little raised die scratch, die gouge. There's a gouge on below the O in of. Alright, number 13. Paul Hampton. Finally, another nice coin. This is a pretty nice BU coin here. Not one of the two doubled eyelids we have so far been chasing in this roll. Nothing special going on in the obverse. Let's check the reverse real quick. Okay, this one is altogether different from any of the reverses we've seen so far. Give us a good reason to study it here somewhat more carefully. And I don't see anything of note going on with this one. We've got some concentric die scratches, a few other die scratches going on. Nothing particularly wonderful going on. So, although it is a good coin, it's a nice coin. It's better than some of the others that we've seen in this roll. Another one for Ant. Let's see if we can get away from spots for Ant. Actually, no. This one's going to be spotty all up through here. Gosh, I hate that. You always got to take your chances when you're talking about original rolls, so. Sometimes these things can be gorgeous and beautiful, and sometimes they can just be, well, kind of run-of-the-mill. And this one, unfortunately, turns out to be pretty much a run-of-the-mill roll. So far, anyway, with condition. We still could be surprised by die varieties, but we're not going to be very surprised by grade. I don't think we're going to find any high-grade coins. It's another 63. Coin number 15, Chubby Pop Chaser. Slight spots, a 63 grade coin. It's got lots of little spots. Nothing major. And there's the spots I was talking about, mostly on the reverse. You can see there's just dotted with little cheetah spots. They show up in the luster much more than they show up under a microscope. So when you're looking at them with the bounce of light, they're pretty much there. Coin 16 now. Farm Dog. Farm Dog, let's see what Farm Dog gets. Well, we've got some reverse spots. I just can't get this in a good light or in a good way for us to look at it to be able to grade the coin like this. But let's take a look at what we've... you know what? I can probably... I can set up my... let me do this real quick. Since we're... I mean, we're going to be way overdrawn on time, but... I think education is more important than brevity. Let me set up a let's see. I'm going to set this up here. This is my droid cam. Let me stick this coin under here and see what we can do regarding getting us. Yeah, there we go. See, now we can actually grade the coins. So I'll get this focused. There we go. So this is a 63. This is what a 63 grade Steely looks like. A little bit rough. So now I'll turn this off and go back over to the microscope so we can look at it to see if there's any hub doubling on this coin. And I'm not seeing anything on the obverse. Let's check the reverse real quick. There's those spots. See, they look a lot worse under the microscope than they actually are. None of these coins are super bad. They just look that way because we're blowing them up like 1,000 times. All right, that was for Farm Dog. Next coin up, number 17 for Carl. Not a high-grade coin, but not bad either. Turn this back on. That one's got kind of a flat strike on it, but it is a pretty solid BU coin. Let's take a look at the reverse. A very solid looking reverse as well. We're going to go with a 65 on this one. It's a nice 65 Gem BU coin. Even though we don't have a good full strike on this. In fact, this could be broad struck just a little bit. But all right, let's look at it under the focus of the scope and see what we see there. See if there's anything exciting going on with this nice BU coin. Well, nothing on the obverse. Let's check the reverse real quick. see what we see there. Nothing really on the reverse either. So we have a decent coin. Just doesn't happen to have anything on it. That's coin 17. Now let's take a look at 18. Mr. Patillo. Okay, the obverse is really nice on this coin, but the reverse has some issues. Here's the obverse. One pretty good slash spot under trust, and then another one right above liberty. But the reverse is kind of what kills it for this one. We got milk spots. Pretty decent share of milk spots along the lower extremities anyway. Alright, so we'll go to the scope now. Alright, that's a struck through. That's actually an indentation in the coin caused by trash that was sitting on the die at the time the coin was struck. I believe that's a struck through. Let me get my loop out to be sure. Let me look at it up close. Nope, sorry, that's a glob of wax. I thought it was a struck through, but it's actually poking out on the coin. So that's a little glob of wax, little tiny one. That's an interesting mark in the die there. Another little glob of wax over here. That's what's causing that spot. Let's try the reverse here. The same die pair we've seen before. Remember the straight line running through the RICA of America. So we've seen this die pair before. Number 19 now for Eric Maith. Got a nice looking coin. Looks pretty decent. Let's take a look. Let's see what that thing is on the 9. Alright, that's a little glob of that wax right there on the 9. Yeah, otherwise a really pretty decent looking coin. I'd go with a 64 grade on this one. Easily a 64, possibly 65. Those little shiny spots that you see running up and down near 1 on either side, on the left and right of 1, those are little polish marks put by the feeder finger onto the die. As the feeder finger rushes through and scoops coins out of the way, it scratches the die, and as it scratches the die, sometimes it just barely strikes it and rubs it, and it causes that polishing look. And that is not in any way an effect of the minting process itself on the coin. It's just part of what happens to the die. Let's take a look at this under the scope and see what we have. That's that little glob of wax there on the 9. Kind of hard to tell sometimes. And there's more wax on there on the remainder of the obverse of the coin. There are a number of different compounds that you can use to remove wax from a coin without affecting the surface of the coin, because it completely evaporates. Eric, if you like, I can take this stuff off this coin for you so we can all take a look and see what it looks like after it's been quote unquote treated. I'll take care of this little spot right up here on the reverse, so get a good capture of it and what it looks like there. And then on the obverse, we have that 9, that issue right above the 9. And we've got some more of it right here on the face. And some up here around the L of Liberty Maybe even up there on the eye of N. Yeah, this is more wax up here. Okay. I'll take care of all that stuff. And I've got to move my keyboard, which I probably don't need anyway during this broadcast, so. Alright. Little camera tilt. Set up right here. My little t-shirt. And I'm going to do it first, show you what it looks like under the scope, and then I will reveal what I did it with. That's about all it takes. It evaporates completely and immediately from the coin. I'm only using the Q-tip to apply my compound and not to rub or scrub the coin. Remember, you're not rubbing on the coin. Okay. So back under the scope we go, and there it is, gone from there, gone from there, gone from there, onto the reverse, and it is gone from up here, and you have a very clean, dry 1943. Now, I'll put this in its holder. Well, actually, let's not put it in the holder first. Let's put it under the other camera. Take a good look at it. And there it is. No effect on the coin. It only removed some of the crud off the surface of the coin. And there it is. Okay, so Chuck, what did you do that with? Well, aside from some ventilation in the room, it was completely done with this. Lighter fuel. Ronson oil specifically. It's the kind that comes in a little squirt bottle from the gas station or wherever you want to get it from. Usually costs between $4 and $6 or $7. And that is what I do with it. Put a little bit on a Q-tip, rub it onto the coin, and it pretty much comes off without any residue, because Ronson oil is actually not oil at all. It is a fuel, and it evaporates very quickly. So that is why I'm never afraid of all the little waxy spots on coins, because I know if I want them off, they come off very quickly and very easily, and it works on copper as well. All right, coin number 20 now. On to Jackalope. Jackalope Herdmaster. Let's see what we got for a grade on this one. That's another ball of wax right there. In fact, I still think I can... No, not wet enough. Get my compound on here. And yes, it works very well on copper. I'm just touching the coin. I'm not scrubbing it, not rubbing on it, and it's gone. Gone, gone, just like that. Now see that spot, that milk spot down there toward the bottom? This doesn't do anything to the milk spots. It'll cover them up temporarily, but then they come right back. And the reason is because they are part of the surface of the coin. Now this is a very nice reverse. Works better than Xylene, actually. I give this a 64 grade. Let's take a look under the scope and see what we have. It's a very shiny coin, very nice luster. I give you guys a good opportunity to learn something from this process. Nothing on the obverse there. Only check for that eye again. Nope, no doubled eye. Let's check the reverse. And we've got nothing on the reverse either. The secret is out. That for Jackalope. Alright, we're not even halfway through the roll and we're going real late on time. But I'm okay with that. Here is from Mark. This one's a little marred up with milk spots. The milk spots unfortunately don't come off. The milk spots are just kind of there. There might be some form of electrolysis or something that could take them off, but I don't know about how much surface it could eat while taking these little oxidized spots of zinc off. Nothing on that one. It does make the coin smell while it's wet, but once it evaporates, once it dries, you can't smell anything. And in fact, it completely evaporates, so the graders have no problem with it. Graders are still grade coins that have had a little bit of ether fuel. I believe that's what most of this is ether. Naphthol is what it is. Let's see. It says cancer and reproductive harm, so light petroleum distillate is what it says it is. Headed to the gas station now. There you go. I've seen this die before. We've got that nice long die crack running across the shoulder and down the lapel. This is duplicated of a die pair that we have seen. This one for Sissy. Decent looking reverse on this one. Let's go on to number 23, Taco John. Something going on around the date on this one. I'm going to take a look at it real quick and see. Okay, that's more of that clear, waxy substance. It's got milk spots on the reverse, though. So a nice. It's a very nice, shiny coin. But here, while I'm taking care of other people's, may as well take care of that waxy spot on there. So just a nice, wet, very clean Q-tip full of this naphtha oil, or naphthol fuel. Let it sit there for just a minute. That's going to instantly evaporate. And then rub it on a few different times, and it will start to take care of that wax in a quick hurry. There it goes. You can still see that the coin is a little bit wet. And now it's not. Now the coin's completely dry. No sign. Donald, I cannot tell you. I've done so many things in my lifetime. I'm almost 56 years old, and I've been doing stuff with coins since I was 7 years old. I started collecting. This one's a 63. It does have a nice doubled eyelid on it, though. That's a pretty doubled eyelid there. That'll be a nice one. Unfortunately, sometimes your nice die varieties turn out to be not the greatest coins for grade. Let's check the obverse again and look around some other areas for doubling possibilities. When you get one that's this nice on the eye, you want to look in the ear. Look at the bottom of the ear for a possible doubled earlobe. You want to look also at the bottoms of the well, because this doubling is to the south, and this is the doubling I'm talking about. Oops. Whoops. There. How about that? There we go. That's where the doubled eyelid is, right there. You can see it. Big doubled eyelid. But we've got a number of little scratches and marks on the coin that'll carry its grade down a little bit. There's the this is the one that had the big waxy spot over the 3 I removed. And nothing on the reverse for doubling. Just a few little milk spots. This is going to grade out probably a 63 just because of the marks on the coin. Still got decent luster, though. To ship to the UK is, well, it's kind of an enigma because it depends on the size of the object. It depends on the weight of the object. But generally, we're going to be between $15 and $50 to ship, with a maximum weight limit of 25 pounds. There's another one. That Taco John's die again right there. Nice. Big old glob of wax, but we can get that off without a problem. Oop, the reverse is spotty. We have a lot of spotty. A lot of milk spots on the reverse. But that one's for Paul Hampton, so that's going to be another double die. This one for Paul Hampton. Carl. Let's see what Carl comes up with here. Yeah, we've got another one with milk spots on it. No doubled eye on this one. Let's flip it over here and see what we see on the reverse. You never know when we could run into something. Got nothing there. I have to speed up just a little bit. I'm nearly 30 minutes behind now. Actually, no. Nope, not 30 minutes behind. I am behind, but not by much. I'm supposed to start at 8:30 on the next one. And, well, it will be upcoming, just not at 8:30. It's all right. Whoever tunes in for the 8:30 show will get to see the end of this one. A lot of little balls of wax here and there on these coins, but they're not harmed by it. All right, and that one's for Sissy. Thank you for taking care of me, JJ Addict. I didn't see the comment. Kind of glad I didn't. Today is not the day. Okay, we've seen this die before. Not one of the double die lids. Got some die cracks running around on it, though. Decent looking coin. This one's at least a 64 in grade. For the obverse, let's see the reverse. And the reverse is also pretty decent. Little die chip on that left wheat there. Small die chip. Little bulb. That one's for Josh. That'll be a 64 grade. 28. Eric. Eric. Let's see what Eric got this time around. Oh, there's one of the double die lids, and probably the cleanest one we've seen so far. So, this one, if we need to photograph it, this may be our coin that we would photograph. Nice double die lid. We got some markers on this one, especially that nice die crack on the lapel there. Although die cracks on the lapel are pretty common with 1943, so we have to come up with other goodies, like this die crack right here. That's a nice die crack. That's not a normal die crack. That's a marker for you. It's an unusual die crack. There's another one on the E. Die crack right there on the E of 1. Another die crack on the N of 1 on the right side. We got some die crack. We got some good stuff here to identify this particular die pair with. Coin number 29 now. Mama Shoe. Let's see what Mama Shoe gets out of here. Yeah, a little glob. This is, I believe, one of the doubled eyelids, but it's kind of hard to tell. I think we got a little bit of wax on there too. Kind of hides things. Kind of keeps you from being able to see stuff the way you want to see it. I know I've seen this die pair before. We've got that huge die spike headed out of the back of the head under the G of God. Let's see. A few little spots on the reverse that aren't going to go away. Wait a minute. Okay, that's a shiny spot. It looks black under the scope, but it's a shiny spot. That's just wax. So this could actually be a pretty decent coin. Once we can get all the wax and stuff off of it, it'll look pretty good. So that's for Mama Shoe. Oh, let's see if Davidson Jack can actually be unwelcomed. Because I'm telling you, folks, you come in here causing trouble, and I don't want you around. It's pretty simple. Okay, this one's a later die state. That's what die flow lines look like on a 1943. A lot of times the 4 will disappear. And here is why. See where these are located? They're kind of located in a ways from the rim of the coin. Well, so is the 4. And that 4 has a better chance of polishing away, or actually wearing away, than the 1, 9, or 3. And so you will see 1943 Lincoln cents, especially 43s, where that 4 will be almost gone. And it is unfortunately a normal thing. It is unfortunately irritating and annoying, but it unfortunately occurs a lot. Dave? Very strange looking luster on this one. Okay. It is kind of covered in anti-luster stuff. This one could have been spilled onto the floor and picked up. Unfortunately, not the prettiest of coins. $32. This one's for Stan. Let's see what Stan ends up with here. Oh, what a pretty coin. This is a pretty one. And we have our, I believe, yep, this is the second of the 3 different doubled eyelids. You can see that dot out there. I think it's a member of that die pair. Let's check the reverse on this one. This one could have a different reverse on it. And it does. Yeah, this is a Class 6 double die reverse. See if I can get this in a position where you can see it easily. There we go. See how thick? Let me put this better focus here. Okay, right here. You see how thick these outside edges of the wheat lines are? These tips. They're not supposed to be that thick. That thick is an override. And then you got extra thickness here in the E, and then your dot is egg-shaped instead of round. Those are all signs of having a Class 6 or a distended hub double die. The distension actually exists in other areas of the design, such as the stems are thicker than they should be. In fact, this one actually has a separation line on it. No, it didn't. I thought it did. So yeah, a pretty decent looking double die reverse here on this coin for Stan, and it's a nice flashy coin. I'm going to put this under the camera so we can take a look at it. Very flashy luster on this one. A few marks here and there, but it is a very flashy looking coin. Grade that one a 64, maybe a 65. All right, this one for Eric Beyer. Let's check the grade on it first. Nice little 62, 63 on the reverse, so it's probably going to be a 62 altogether. Put it over here and take a look at it under the microscope. Not a doubled eyelid. And let's check the reverse on this one. See what, if anything, we have going on there. Nothing there. Still a relatively decent coin. Angie. Chubby Pop Chaser comes up next. Let's see what we have for Chubby Pop Chaser. A very clean looking coin. So far, anyway. Oh, nice. That's one of the nice doubled eyelids there. That one's going to be a nice double die listing. Doesn't have anything except the eye, but the eye is nice. Check the reverse on this one, see what kind of condition we have. Nice one. Okay, so now let's look at it under the camera. Oh, this is nice. This has got some very nice luster on it. And here we go. Look at that. That's a nice one. Few little spots here and there, but man, it's got some serious luster. And probably if we get this at the right angle, there it is, you can see that doubled eyelid. Sweet. Chubby Pop Chaser gets a pretty one. Number 35 now for Chuck Patillo. Chuck. Let's look under the scope first and see what we see on this one. A ball of wax down there. Another ball of wax. Nothing doubled on the eye, but it is a pretty nice looking coin. little bit of chatter going on in the field above Liberty. We've got a spot above the 3. Is that wax? Hang on a second. Yeah, that's just wax. Let's see on the reverse now. See how the outside edges here are not thicker than they are over here. They're pretty much the same. That means you do not have a double die there. Got plenty of wax. And I promise it's not earwax. It's a pretty coin overall. A couple of little spots. 64 grade. 36. Stan the man. What do we got for Stan? Kind of interesting looking coin, but it does not have a die variety. It's a little ding in the rim. A few die cracks here and there. Nothing else hella special. Slightly spotted up reverse. No, ain't nothing real slightly about it. Just kind of spotted up. So as for Stan, coin number 37 now, Sissy. We have just run into time for the second show. We'll be done with this one here in a few minutes. I give every show an hour. Generally, we get them done in a lot less than that hour. This is actually damage on the die that came through on the coin. Die is kind of crumbling a little bit there. Slightly weaker strike around the L there. That looks like it is a sufferer of a very partial incomplete planchet, which means there's probably a little curved clip right there that got completely obliterated by the strike, but still there wasn't enough metal because of the clip to completely fill in the devices and the design on the coin. So what we have is a maybe 1% or 2% clip there that is not evident because, let's take a look here, a little bit of weakness in the rim in that area. It's not evident because there wasn't enough metal gone from the planchet to keep that clipped shape in the final coin. All right, let's see. Coin number 38. Mr. Patillo back out again. This one's a 64-ish, a 64 grade, I think. I say ish. I don't like to give specific number grades to coins because, oh, that's one of the nice doubled eyelids right there. Because giving specific number grades gives people some expectation of what they could expect from a grading service. Part of the problem with the grading services or being able to predict the grading service is that their standards do change very slightly over time. And one particular coin that could get you a 65 grade one day could very easily get you a 64 grade the next day, or a 63 grade, or you get a 65 grade from one service and a different service will give you a 63 grade. They're a little unpredictable. And I do the best I can to tell people what they should more or less expect, but more or less is the key to that term. Here's coin number 39 now. Coin number 39 for Carl. And Carl has a big glob of wax on his coin. He won't care if I take this off to give you guys another example of what the wax can do. Here is one of our doubled eyelids. Again, this is one of the second doubled eyelid. The first one was a dot. The second one was a line right under the regular eyelid. And then the third one is a strong line down by the bottom eyelid. And that's more wax right there. I'll pull this away, do my treatment, and then pull it back in. Actually, this camera needs to move back up here so you guys can see who is next. Alright, this is Carl's coin here. And I'm going to go ahead and take care of it and then come back. Where'd my bottle go? There it is. Remember that this one had a big glob of wax up above the date in the field, and then some other stuff around "In God We Trust." The evaporative process is actually so cold with this, like with acetone, when it's evaporating it actually cools the metal on the coin. It evaporates so quickly it causes an evaporative cooling effect. Hey, there we go. No wax, just coin. Oh, I missed a spot down low, but that spot is gone. Let's look at the reverse. We may have seen the reverse on this one, but I want to make sure you do, just in case. A little hair. Sometimes you don't get anything perfect, and you have to kind of look with superhuman eyes. Eric, sometimes yes, sometimes no. I wouldn't try it on a toned coin. Just put it that way. Do it only on the solid red copper. It won't work well on brown copper or red brown copper, and I cannot tell you what it does on nickel or silver. Alright, this one's to Mickey here. We do not have a double die. Pretty much a normal 1943 Lincoln there. I saw that. I didn't mention anything because I was kind of in the middle of busyness. Was that Edward VII? I think it's Edward the 7th. Let's see here. It's either George V or Edward VII. I think George V ended in... well, I don't know now. The two of them were pretty much together from the end of Victoria 1905 until the beginning of George VI, which would be 1937. Edward VIII was very, very briefly on the throne. He abdicated the throne because he wanted to marry a commoner. George V, okay. Make a sense. Here is Chubby Pop Chaser's coin. Decent coin. Nothing wrong with the coin at all. Let's take a look for Mama Shoe. And unfortunately, we have a spotty. We have a coin that is mostly spot. It does happen, unfortunately, in these original BU rolls of Steelies. This one is horrible. I may even do something for her on this. Give her a freebie of some sort, because this is the worst coin in the roll so far. Yuck. That's number 42. Let's look for number 43, see what we get there. Here's Stan Horn. Little spotting on the obverse, a little spotting on the reverse, little spotting on both sides. And people out still doing fireworks Monday afternoon, the 8th of July, or Monday evening, the 8th of July, and they're still playing with fireworks. People, you got so much money you couldn't spend it all on the 4th. Check the reverse on this one. And around this way so I can see things a little bit better. That one is a class 2 double die. I'll pull up real close so that you can see it easily, but there are 2 lines for every edge of wheat up here. You can see this line right out here runs an extra line, and then this right up here, there's an extra line right there. Now let's look at the E, which is extra thick. And yeah, you have a little extra thickness on the LU. Let's see. There we go. This is a nice double die right here. Nice, nice, nice one. This one's definitely one of the listed double dies. Wow, look at that. Holy moly. We got a pretty one. You can even see it on the top of the E of 1. Super double die. Unfortunately, Indigenous Treasures, I don't have any spots in today's reveals. What I do have is I'm doing a 1964 mint sealed bag, and they are $2.50 per pair of coins. We do them in pairs, and you can get as many as you like. God, would you look at this? This is a super double die right here. Too bad it's the only one we found so far in this roll. JJ Addict, yes. King Charles has been placed on some coins. I don't know about regular circulating coins, but I know there have been commemorative coins made with his image. That right there is definitely a very nice double die. Congratulations to Stan on that. Let's check coin number 44 now. Eric. A pretty nice looking coin from what I can see so far. Not a double die lid. No doubling on the obverse. Let's check the reverse here. And this one does not have the doubling we just saw. No doubling at all, but otherwise a pretty decent looking coin. Let's look at it under. Okay, Indigenous Treasures, I appreciate that. We'll get you in for 20. I have not sent out any invoices yet tonight because I got straight into this show from the reveal show. Wow, look at that. That's a pretty nice one right there. Eric Maith, this one right here is easily a 64, possibly a 65 grade coin. The obverse is a pretty clear 65, but the reverse has some spots that may discount the grade slightly. Half your cakes left after the 4th. Oh, talking about fireworks. I was thinking cake. I'll take cake. Don't need any fireworks, but I'll take cake. All right, next coin up. This one is for Carl again. And if I knew how to get rid of the milk spots, I would definitely do it. Unfortunately, these milk spots are part of the surface of the coin. So if there's anything that would remove the milk spot, you're going to be removing part of the surface of the coin, which is not a good thing ever. You don't want anything that's going to affect the metal. Anything and everything you do should be removing foreign substances from the metal without affecting the metal. That's the whole thing about conserving a coin versus cleaning a coin. Therein lies your difference. The difference being that cleaning a coin is going to move or remove metal from the coin, permanently affecting. Stan's coin was a DR7. That's very possible, Chris. I know that we've got some really nice double dies out there that can be found, and that one is a beautiful one. This one's going back to Stan again. Not a doubled eyelid, but cleaning a coin, or what we call cleaning. See that mark below the L there? That is common to one of the dies that has nothing on the reverse, unfortunately. Nothing. That's the very first coin. Very first coin in the roll had that. That die scratch. But conserving a coin properly doesn't do anything at all to the coin. It removes contaminants from the coin. The coin actually remains completely unaffected. Here's one of our doubled eyelids, one of our nice ones. And of course, we've got nothing else on this particular die pair. Got a lot of wax here on the reverse, big buildup. No, it's not wax, it's actually spotting. We've got spotting buildup on the reverse. Unfortunately. That was for Eric Beyer. Coin 48 now. Got 3 coins left in the roll. This is the first of those 3 coins. This one goes to Josh. A big old glob of waxy something on there, but that is one of our doubled eyelids. It's one of that little line doubled eyelid. I'm actually gonna take that stuff off so we can get a better look at it. And you can see this is actually colored stuff. It's like globby of dirt wax. It could actually affect the coin, but we will find out. It can't hurt the coin worse than the coin is already hurt, based on what I know, which is why I'm still willing to do it. Eyelid DDOs are not always obvious to see, but they're not difficult to find. Meaning they're out there. You just got to get some practice at looking for them. How about this, boys and girls? Where are we? There we are. It's completely gone. Took that glob right off the coin. I'm going to wash that glob right off of my coin. And there's your doubled eyelid again. All right, and that's for Josh. Oh, not listed? Oh, there are a ton of them that are not listed. There's a lot of them out there. If you run into something that's not listed, you can send me an email, and I'll take a look at it for you and confirm that for you, or find a listing for you. This has got lots of wax on it. Lots of wax. And this one goes to Roger. This one, I believe, is one of our second doubled eyelid. I don't know. Let me get the goobers off of it. I'll get the goobers off of it, and then we'll know. For show, this is Roger Borland's coin. There really wasn't anything on the reverse on this one. Alright, same coin. That stuff is gone. And there it is, that eyelid That little dot of an eyelid right there. That's a doubled eyelid. All right. Roger gets a doubled eyelid. Now coin number 50, last one in the roll, Chubby Pop Chaser, sorry. Chubby Pop Chaser. What does Chubby Pop Chaser end up with here? Not one of the doubled eyelids. What do we see on the reverse on this one? Yeah, we got nothing here. Nothing and nothing equals nothing, but you still got a decent looking coin. And folks, that's going to do it for this historic opening of a 1943 original bank wrapped roll of steel Lincoln cents, 1943. Wonderful experience, beautiful coins. Had some other coins that weren't so great. That's going to happen with highly corrosive metal compositions, though. Here's the coins, actually, here's the coins that had die varieties on them, just so we can review and know. If you see your name pass by, it means you're going to end up with something. And there it is. That's that. Give me a few minutes to get myself prepped up and ready to go on with the 1943 S-roll, and we'll get it out and take care of it. Broadcast coming up here in about 5 minutes. I'll see you then.